A very good evening to you from wherever you're watching us from. This is KUTV Primetime News. We have a lot in store for you tonight, but first let's take a look at stories hitting the headlines tonight. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua unveils a reform task force to evaluate the CBC curriculum. Parliament set to start vetting cabinet nominees after approval by members of Parliament. DPP Haji's decision to withdraw corruption charges against government officials elicits mixed reactions from Kenyans. Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Sami Okello, and for the very first time here at KUTV Primetime News, I'm Imbinda Masi. Our Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today launched a 42 education reform task force. The task force is set to provide clarity on education and come up with recommendations from views by the education stakeholders to better the sector. The task force was constituted by President William Ruto to review the competence-based curriculum.
A 49-member team led by Professor Raphael Munavu will officially start the education reform after it was launched by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The task force, constituted by President William Ruto, is mandated to come up with recommendations on the competence-based curriculum. In his address, the DP said that CBC will not be repealed. The task force is only getting views to keep what is good and address where there are challenges.
The CBC is not being repealed. What this good team is doing is to look at it, get the views of stakeholders and the people of Kenya to keep and improve what is good and to address challenges of where there could be weaknesses for our children.
Mr. Gachagua touched on the issue of teachers being mistreated in front of their students. He said teachers and lecturers should be treated with utmost respect and dignity, and in case of any issue, they should be handled at a closed sitting.
When we go to an institution and dress down a teacher or a lecturer in front of students and pupils, as happened to Professor Inaina in Kenyatta University, it will never happen. The teachers of this country, the lecturers, must be given their due respect and dignity. And where there are issues that we need to raise with them, we shall call them in the privacy of our offices and discuss the issues and the challenges, and in a dignified manner come up with a solution.
The DP said that the Ruto government is not interested in being praised, and the 42-member team should come up with the truth as raw as it is. They are called upon to be frank in their dealings. The task force should listen to the views of all Kenyans, for it matters in the reform.
Professor Munavu and your team, the way the outgoing CS has said, tell us the truth, raw as it is, and don't look back. We are not interested in being praised and being told what we want to hear. Please listen to the people of Kenya and come up with a report that reflects what Kenyans want and what they feel, however bitter it is.
The task force will expected to undertake summative evaluation of the competency-based curriculum and assess and recommend an appropriate structure to implement the CBC. The team will also assess the examination framework and the quality assurance and standards of framework. Joseph Thuku, reporting for KUTV.
Parliament is set to start vetting cabinet nominees after members of the vetting committee were today approved by members of Parliament. The team comprises of Eric Karemba, John Kiarie, Beatrice Kahai, Japheth Kareka, Julius Kibiwot, Silvanus Osoro, and Martha Wangare, Robert Bukose, Leah Suipato, and Caroline Chepto, among others. Our reporter Eugene Mayabi with more on that story. Governors and their deputies have convened for a 3-day training beginning today to deliberate on finance, procurement and human resource amid massive graft and bloated workforce in their counties. At the event held at the Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha, the governors were taken through public finance, procurement laws and human resource management, marking the first day of the meeting.
Following the Council of Governors statement last Thursday on delay in release of county funds, the governors converged again for a 3-day summit to discuss solutions among other development factors, as Chairperson Anne Waiguru states.
I believe this will be an opportunity for us to learn and share best practices in line with the theme public finance, procurement, and human resource management in counties, what works. This retreat will focus on 3 thematic areas, which is the public finance, procurement, and human resource management.
Inadequate funds is a major challenge in counties. Vice Chairman of Council of Governors Ahmed Abdullahi highlighted that inadequate funds are key causes of underdevelopment in counties. It was revealed that governors have not received shillings 51.76 billion in arrears, being the equitable share of the revenue for the last 2 months.
If there are things that can bring down counties, it's probably what we're going to discuss in this retreat. Management of finances, with respect to issues to do with payments and accounting, management of finances with respect to procurement.
County Budgeting and Financing Audit Moderator in attendance claimed it's a mandatory requirement for counties to run on funds consistently. Delayed funds affect the functions.
Big question and the big issue that Tom Mushindi brought out was the issue of unpredictable and delays in disbursements of funds to the counties. He mentioned that counties need funds to function.
The county governors warned that several workers at the counties are risk not earning their pending salaries for subsequent months, as they are not on the payrolls as required. The retreat, however, as it was noted, will come a long way in aiding the governors' training on how to operate even on the limited funding. Jeff Mwangi, KUTV.
The decision by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Hajan, to withdraw graft charges against government officials has raised concerns among Kenyans. This is after he withdrew all graft charges against former Member of Parliament for Malindi constituency Aisha Jumwa and former Kenya Power Managing Director Ben Chumo. Our reporter Shadrach Simiyu with more on that story.
It's a sigh of relief to former Member of Parliament for Malindi constituency Aisha Jumwa and the former Kenya Power Managing Director Ben Chumo after the Director of Public Prosecutions Nurdin Haji withdrew all the graft charges they were facing. The CS nominee was facing a 19 million graft case, whereas Chuma was facing charges relating to the supply of faulty transformers worth 400 million Kenyan shillings. Haji has said the evidence presented against Juma and Chumo are inadequate.
Kirinyaga has made an application to court for the withdrawal of 8 million Kenyan shillings graft case against former Samburu Governor Moses Lenon. In 2019, Haji ordered the arrest of Lenon, citing it is clear he was involved in the graft case. As I quote, it is clear that the
engage in conduct that is expressly prohibited in law and in clear violation of the constitutional principles governing the conduct of the public state officers. For the charges facing Chumo, Haji directed in 2018 for his arrest with the other 11 Kenya Power staff members, citing that they have a case to answer. As I quote, I have directed the DCI to immediately cause the arrest of the following persons and have them arraigned in court to answer the charges. End of quote. The DPP's decision of withdrawing graft charges against the politician has been slammed by Kirinyaga East Clergy Forum from Kirinyaga County. Led by their chairman Jacob Kamau, the leaders have said the office of the DPP is an independent institution that should make sound judgment. As I quote, you cannot suspend corruption cases for suspected corrupt politicians because you'll be accused of a political witch hunt. Your office is independent and works based on evidence provided by the investigative agencies. End of quote. The events unfold as the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is compiling a report on the suitability of the nominated cabinet secretaries by President William Ruto to block those with the questionable integrity. Shadrach Simiyu, KUTV.
Thank you, Shadrach Simiyu, for that report. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, held a post-election consultative meeting today with the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya. The Commission held the consultative meeting with its partners and stakeholders to assess the just concluded election, share experiences, and forge areas of collaboration in the post-election phase and beyond. The Commission held its consultative meetings in accordance with Article 88, Clause 4H of the Constitution, which obliges the Commission to facilitate the observation, monitoring, and evaluation of elections. The Senate of Kenya is set to debate a motion that seeks to sanction the 4 dissenting IEBC commissioners who denounced the election results announced by IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati on August 15th, following the August 9th presidential election. The motion, which was proposed by Nyandarua Senator John Methu, has been tabled for discussion on Thursday, October 13th. Eugene Mayabi now reports.
A hotly debate is expected to be witnessed tomorrow in the Senate, following a motion which was tabled by Nyandarua Senator John Methu and approved by the Senate House Business Committee. Methu wants the Senate to discuss reforms at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission after the August 9th general election. The Senator wants IEBC to effect legal action on the 4 IEBC commissioners who disowned the presidential election results, insisting that their actions breached good corporate governance as indicated in the Constitution. The 4 commissioners include IEBC Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, Irene Masit, Justus Nyaganya, and Francis Wanderi. The Senator said the Commission is mandated to work as a collective unit and cannot be conducted with the exclusion of any member. The proposal states, and I quote, "The Senate urges the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights to study the Supreme Court ruling and introduce legislation that will seal existing loopholes in the electoral process, including the manner of appointment of future IEBC commissioners, and enhance the statutory and regulatory framework, especially to separate the policy and administrative remit of IEBC." End of quote. The Cherera-led fraction, prior to the announcement of the presidential results, said they could not take ownership of the results because of the opaque nature of the way they had been handled. Chebukati in response said the 4 wanted him to force a runoff, stating it was against the Constitution and the sovereign will of the people of Kenya. Eugene Mayabi, KUTV.
The National Police Service Commission, led by its chairman, Mr. Eliud Kinuthia, completed the interviews for the next Director General of the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, DCI, yesterday. The position fell vacant following the resignation of the former DCI Director, George Kinote. The commission submitted 3 names to President William Ruto for appointment out of the 10 shortlisted candidates for the position. Those shortlisted include Director of Internal Affairs Unit Mohammed Amin, Coast Head of DCI Bernard Barasa, Director of Reforms at the DCI Eliud Lagat, the Principal Assistant to the Inspector General of Police Munga Nyale, and Homa Bay County Police Commander Esther Serone. Now it's time to take a short break right here at KUTV Primetime News. We'll be back with more updates. Keep your feedback and comments coming across all our social media handles at KUTV_Kenya, at Mercy Imbinda, using the hashtag KUTV Primetime News. Stay with us.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Sasa ni bora zaidi. Mwanzo mpya, mambo mapya. Msimu mwingine wa Boresha Kilimo unakuletea teknolojia ibuka, kilimo mseto, uongezaji thamani. Teknolojia dijitali ya mauzo inawezesha ufikiaji wa masoko. Soko moko yako, mahangaiko yako ya kufikia masoko yamefika kikomo, manake tunao Mkulima Yangu.
What Mkulima Yangu does is it connects farmers with the market.
Hii ni Boresha Kilimo kwa ushirikiano na Mkulima Yangu. Atafutaye hachoki na kichoka kesha pata. Kwa makala maalum ya kilimo, ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 6:30 kwenye kipindi ukipendacho Boresha Kilimo.
Also to talk to us about the technicalities of DIN and how they do the operations is Mr. Peter Getao.
Our technology is very much portable. We use a device called Elimipile. This is an offline education server which is connected to a 1 terabyte hard disk. Within the 1 terabyte hard disk, we have content, and the Elimipile sends a Wi-Fi network to any device that can connect to Wi-Fi connection. Here we have our lab. We have 5 kgs and 10 kgs. So students, they will discover by doing.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So if let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600,000? 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Benturo Kumbuka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Thank you for keeping it KUTV Prime Time News. Welcome back. The Migori County Director for Gender, Mr. Kennedy Omo, has stated that gender-based violence, female genital mutilation, FGM, and early marriages remain important issues affecting girls as these practices violate human rights and have lifelong consequences on the health and mental wellness of the girl child.
The Migori County Director for Gender, Mr. Kennedy Omo, has stated that gender-based violence, female genital mutilation, and early marriages remain important issues impacting girls. Omo, who led a gender committee comprised of diverse stakeholders from the education, health, and gender departments earlier on today, stated that the county had made enormous efforts to reduce GBV and FGM by about 50%. Concerning FGM, the director stated that they have intelligence on persons who are going to do it, but stressed that the necessary authorities were already aware of the situation. He did, however, agree that cross-border FGM remained the most significant impediment to the abolition of the practice.
It's a good report that FGM is coming down. We still have challenges of cross-border FGM, but a lot has been done, and we can safely report that there's a reduction in these cases.
Other kinds of GBV, particularly among cervical cancer patients, were identified by the authority. He said that illiteracy, poverty, and witchcraft beliefs were all factors that led to GBV in cervical cancer patients.
The meeting that we are in here, we have health professionals that are also reaching out, and during some of these meetings that we have, we do reach out to the women, and we do bring in health practitioners that are also involved in cervical screening, cancer screening.
Our aim is to empower our women financially, because always all empowered women, they have voices. Once you empower a woman, you give her a voice to talk to the community, a voice to talk anyway.
Ms. Judith Mwangi, the Migori Women Enterprise Officer, stated that they have been cooperating with other players in the county to ensure that women are economically empowered. Over 40% of married women have reported being victims of either domestic violence or sexual abuse. For KUTV, I am Teresia Maluki.
Now, leaders in the county of Garissa have emphasized the importance of addressing the needs and difficulties that girls experience in order to maximize their potential and give them a sense of empowerment. The leaders reiterated that it would be best if everyone worked together and identify and address the obstacles that prevents the girls from achieving their goals and reaching their full potential. Susan Wayaki with that story.
During the International Day for the Girl Child Celebration 2022, Maka Kasim, an activist, stated that teenage pregnancies, female genital mutilation, and poverty at home to the point of not having enough money to buy sanitary pads were among the issues that made most girls, regardless of their religious background. She invited well-wishers to get in touch with the girls, attend to their needs, and counsel them on how to deal with their situation. According to activist Fatma Bathi, society cannot simply watch as young girls become pregnant, because if action is not taken, many people will interfere with their lives. She also called for a coordinated effort to combat terrorism, FGM, and youth drug misuse.
Ukeketaji kwa wasichana ambapo inawafanya wasichana watoke shule mapema ndio wajitayarishe.
Gor Mahia fans have condemned Ambrose Rochia's Freemasonry ties, calling upon his resignation, and are now planning to hold peaceful demonstrations tomorrow to distance themselves from the club's chairman confessions. In a letter to Nairobi Regional Police Commander, the fans through Judith Anyango have sought police protection during the procession that is planned to begin at 11 a.m. in Uhuru Park. This occurs days after Rochia confessed to being a member of this secret society and dismissed claims that Freemason is a satanic enterprise. And that sports story brings us to a close right here at KUTV Prime Time News. Many thanks for joining us tonight, and special thanks to everyone that has made this bulletin a success. Remember, you can keep your feedback and comments coming across all our social media handles at KUTV_Kenya. Remember, you can also tag me at Mercy Imbinda. You can get this bulletin on YouTube at KUTV Kenya or on our website at www.kutv.co.ke. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Sami. And for the very first time, signing off tonight, I'm Imbinda Mercy. Good night.
And joining me here in studio today are two of my VOA colleagues, Vincent McCory.